Hey everyone, one really quick note. This whole episode is about a Giallo horror movie. I had never heard the term Giallo, even though I love horror. I'm a bad horror fan. It's fine. But this is one of the many horror films that involves a man in a dress murdering people. So if that is not your bag, definitely skip this one. In reality, Sammy Morgan and I had a great chat about it, but it might not be everyone's favorite episode style because I just hated this movie, and as a result, I kind of sabotaged the entire discussion to try not to talk about the movie at all. So if you're into that and you love that and you just love a couple of folks hanging out, talking, and just being angry and slipping into nihilism, this is your thing. If you have heard our podcast in the past and you have heard an episode like that and you said, that is not my episode, don't worry. Let me tell you, we're going to be doing a live stream of Space Sweepers. Space Sweepers is a new movie that came out on Netflix in the US, and it is really friggin' interesting and cool and fun, and that's probably going to be more up your speed. We're going to be doing a live stream of that on February 24th at 7:30 p.m. We're going to be live streaming. The live stream itself is going to be happening on through YouTube so that we can put it onto Patreon. It's all complicated. Don't worry about it. But yeah, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you have access to it. If you're not, we will be releasing that 1 week later to the public. So you will still have access to it. But if you're a Patreon subscriber, you can jump in, chat with us in the live chat, the typing type of chat, and yeah. So I do hope that you like this because I did have fun editing this, and it is a good episode as far as some people getting together talking about a movie they hate. But at the same time, just know what this is before you jump in. All right, enjoy.
Is It Transphobic will be addressing issues of transphobia and transmisogyny.
We may also address issues of racism, classism, ableism, and various other intersectional issues in this podcast.
So this is a trigger warning.
The panelists on Is It Transphobic will also use strong language.
So listener discretion is advised.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Ashley Lauren Rogers. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns, and I am the host and creator of the Is It Transphobic podcast. And joining me today is.
Hi, I'm Sammie James. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns. I'm a comedian, writer, actor, host, producer of shows, tired person. Yeah, that's it.
Hi, I'm Morgan Payne. I'm a writer and artist. I run the blog Diversity Horror, and I focus on diversity in horror, so horror for people of color, Black people, queer and trans people, people with disabilities, etc. And my pronouns are they, them.
Awesome. So we're talking about a movie. We're talking about a classic, so to speak. Sammy, you inflicted this upon me. So
Okay, so this is a Giallo from 1983. Need we say more?
Yeah.
I will freely admit I don't know enough about Giallo. Maybe it's because I watch too much non-Italian cinema. But yeah, this is a movie.
You want me to give you a little rundown of Giallo or the listeners?
Yeah,
All right, so
because I did no research because I got very
I
mad.
mean, I know about him, but
So hit me up with some.
So Giallo, it's Italian for yellow. It refers to mystery paperback thrillers. It gets the name from the yellow cover. So it's basically like Pulp Fiction, and it later became synonymous with mystery films. They're mostly known for their masked killers who are murdering beautiful women, mostly naked women. It has a stronger focus on psychological horror, but there was a lot of gore and the use of surreal camera work and bright colors.
So Giallo is not a man; it's a style. Got it.
No, it's a style of Italian film.
Okay,
Sammy, is
Giallo
there
could
anything
be
you
a
want to
man.
add
I don't
on?
know. Yeah. So I will say, given that description, everyone was fully clothed, at least in what I saw.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, I'm happy with. I mean, cool. Also be naked, but like people die, so it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess if you're gonna die, die fully clothed. Like, cool. So, Sammy, hit me up. What? Why this movie? Why?
Oh,
Why'd you
why?
do? Why'd you do? Why?
Listen, okay, I will start. I will start with like the one. It's not a big one. I will start
Mhm.
with like the one positive that I can.
Okay,
It is
okay,
not
yeah.
a big one. It's not significant. It is,
Let's start
but
there.
like a lot of Giallo, the music on point.
Okay, yeah.
and
I
and
also
there, I'm done. There's the positive.
That's fair.
I will add to that to stay on the positive note. We're not going to be able to stay positive for a while, but just to milk this positivity, I don't know what that motion was. Anyway, to milk that positivity, I also appreciated that the music was diegetic, at least in the beginning. This whole idea is the protagonist is a composer
Mhm.
for some form of film, and so he's composing this film, this the music behind this film, and it's very good, terrifying music that there's no reason it should exist or anyone would be listening to it other than to be terrified in a thriller, but it has its purpose and it serves it.
Yeah.
The only positive I can add is I like the murder scene where the killer is trying to get that one woman through the chicken wire. That was kind of
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
That was creepy. It was a good kill.
Mhm.
Yeah. As far as like horror where you know people are gonna die and like if you're going in with that, yeah, that was actually like that got me. That got me in a like ooh way where she's trapped in the wall and the thing the box cutter is going towards her
Yeah.
eye and it's just like Jesus Christ.
Yeah. There is one scene. I mean, there are a few like not even just for like the cringeworthy plot points, but there are some scenes of this movie that it's like, how they edit that? Like, because there is a scene in this movie where it's near the end where the killer is chasing someone and they're like about to kill him and then it's just like all of a sudden there's a knife poking out of the woman's chest. What?
Then the ball thing at the beginning was kind of creepy, and
Oh yeah.
I'm like really digging to find positives, and I'm like, the ball was creepy, and one of the murders was good, and other than that,
Yeah.
So I have to ask because obviously, like, okay, so Morgan and I, for those that don't know, Morgan and I have been to anime conventions together. So you probably will know what I'm talking about when I say that there is a whole vast difference between a sub and a dub of a movie.
mm-hmm. Oh, that
Now,
dub.
now I watched the dub. Is there something I was missing in watching the dub that the sub would be better for other than weird voices for certain
Talent.
characters?
I mean,
I've seen both. No.
Okay.
okay,
So if
'cause
you're gonna
I
so
was
what
like, is this
so
gonna be better?
so what I'm hearing is if you are consuming this movie for this podcast and you haven't already tried to watch it, just watch the dub. You're not missing anything. So
Yeah.
we have to like because I was immediately when we're watching these children walk downstairs, like these children, two children are bullying a third child in a weird dark house, and they throw a tennis ball down the stairs, and they start saying like, "Oh no, go down and get it" to the one they're bullying, and the way that they continue to bully this child, this cis male child, is female. You are a female. You are a female.
Yeah.
Like misogynists on the internet talking about the difference between men and female.
I always think of Quark from Deep Space Nine whenever anybody says female. I just imagine like a Ferengi being like, female, woman, you're natural females? Well, no. That's all I can think about.
Star Trek is going to be a running theme throughout this season, I guess, because multiple people have brought up Star Trek for things. So this is the first thing that we see, and then the tennis ball bounces back off the walls and it's covered in blood. And I okay, I will freely admit, because eventually this comes back later as part of the film that they're creating. Was that the film, or was that something else that happened in real life and they caught it on film? Because I checked out at a certain point. I'm going to be honest with you. I checked the
That
hell
was
out.
the film within the film that Sandra, the director, was making. That was based on a true event that happened to the killer. And I rewatched this movie and took notes, and now I'm like mad at myself that I know this. So thank you.
No. We are in similar boats, and like, listen, full like transparency, disclosure to the people listening. Like, I brought this movie to you, Ashley, and it was literally I brought it to you, like, let's talk about this movie I hate with a passion.
Oh my god. I actually first reviewed this movie. I was writing an article about transphobia in horror films. If you ever just like hate yourself, watch 40 transphobic horror movies. This was one of them. And then Ashley comes to me and was like, "Oh, hey, my friend Sammie, like, so we should review this movie. You want in? You've seen it, right?" And I was like, "Oh, that means I'm gonna have to watch it again."
I'm sorry. Listen, if it makes you all feel better, I also had to watch it again.
For those listening, Morgan came on for I think it was The Conjuring, was it? No, it was the one about astral projection. That's the one. About astral projection. Insidious. Thank you.
There you go. I was like waiting to see if you would get it, but then I was like,
no,
I just felt bad. I should help.
Just left me there. That's fine. Yeah, Insidious. And we talked a little bit about the article that you wrote, that you penned, and I said, so I was like, all right, horror movie. Right now it's just Sammie and I. Like, who else can I bring in again to talk about something like this? It's like, maybe you've seen this. And she's like, yeah, it's part of the thing. Just like, okay. Okay.
Oh my god, I've read this article!
Wait, really? Oh my god!
I was like, that name is familiar!
Worlds colliding!
God.
I have a horror podcast, so I
Oh my god. Wait, so we're best friends now, is what you're saying? Okay, sounds good.
Sammie runs the podcast Boo Ha Ha, which, as I stated in the Alien review that we just did, I am intensely jealous of not being able to come up with that name.
Amazing.
But yeah, so back to this Giallo.
This thing that we're avoiding talking about.
My least favorite flavor of Giallo.
Can I just point out that there's a scene in the movie where the woman's like hiding in Bruno's house, which he's super cool with, by the way. And like she jumps out and she's like, "Oh, it's a spider!" And then he goes, "That's not a spider, it's a cockroach." As the camera zooms in on what is clearly a spider.
Yeah,
it's like
I was like, was that a dub or is it just idiot?
No, it was ignorant mansplaining. Let's call it.
He's like, let me mansplain this to you incorrectly.
It's just straight up
Which is usually what they're doing.
It has nothing to do with anything. That stood out to me. I was like, I couldn't get over it.
So because I was I was doing that game that you have to play with a movie like this, find the trans person. Uh, I really thought she was because A, she's busted out of a closet, and B, it's just like, why are you in this closet, lady? Like, why are you in this random person's closet? Like, what was the end game for that? Was she like, did she? Because I again, like, maybe I missed it, maybe I did, but like, she didn't. She gets called out for it, like, why were you in my closet? But, all right,
She was looking for the diary she left behind
that's what it was. Okay, yep.
that had
'Cause,
this like terrible secret about Linda in it.
oh, I did not like. I'm gonna be very clear with the audience and
Check
with my
out.
fellow pundits. I did not. I
Fair.
when I checked out, I literally was just like, I'm gonna do a bunch of audio work over here. So like, I'm in, but I'm not. Uh,
Fair.
like, so we also have to state this: the killer at the end. The reason that we are watching this movie, this Giallo piece of garbage, is because it turns out that the killer is man in a dress who has experienced trauma and therefore murders women. And and the thing is, again, like, I'm looking for it. I'm thinking it's maybe like Sleepaway Camp, where there's a character walking around, femme, being like, "Oh yeah, there's the thing," and then like at the end, it's just like, "Ah!" Yeah, that's my Sleepaway Camp impression. Uh,
For those of you who are just listening to the podcast, you missed a great visual of Ashley's face.
I'm literally like moving constantly.
Ooh.
I'm trying to escape the conversation you're having. You're not seeing it. But I fully expecting that it was going to be one of these women that we're seeing, and no, it is the vaguely kind of feminine friend, feminine man friend that he has. That, what was his name? Carl? No, that wasn't his
Tony,
name.
Tony, it's Tony.
Yeah,
Tony.
Tony.
I called him copacetic guy because he said, "Is everything copacetic?" And I realize that's probably a weird dub versus sub thing, because I'm sure an Italian man saying, "Hey, is everything copacetic?" is probably fine. It's probably just an Italian thing. I don't know. We need to get more Italian people on this show.
God.
But it rang to me as an American in 2020 watching a piece from 1983. Somebody just says, "Is everything copacetic?" It's just like, well, you are coded queer.
Yeah. Yeah, and listen, this movie, you need to try. You need to work to be one of the more problematic, like, I mean, Giallo, but also, like, specifically, like, horror movies from 1983.
So it killed more things that kill me about this movie that have nothing to do with this movie, and our fans by now are probably just like, why are you even doing this? Actually, why would you? It was released in August of 1983, which is my birth month of my birth year, not my birthday. August 8th, I believe it was when it was released. Mine was August 27th. That's when I was released in America, not in Italy. And okay. Um, so at one point he's listening to a recording again. I have no idea. Like, this is pretty much right after she's caught in the chicken wire and murdered this woman. Secret, no one must know, are the words that we hear. And it's just like, there's so much of this trope. Let's talk about the trope, because that's really what it is. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
when we're getting into it, let's talk about the big picture, because I think if I focus on the small picture, this picture that I just watched, these moving pictures, I'm just gonna get angry. But like,
I have
the
a
big
lot of thoughts on that trope.
now, this is not the only movie to do the like, oh, it's a disturbed man in a dress who slashes the ladies. But like, help us put this in context, Morgan. You wrote the article on this.
All right. So I
Right up
noticed
there.
watching 40 horrible transphobic movies that killed my soul a little bit. There's a few themes that come up numerous times. One of them is that trauma and abuse lead to someone being trans. Another is that mental illness causes you to be trans, or your abusive mother making you wear a dress. And the other is that dissociative identity disorder causes you to be trans. You have a female personality and a male personality, which is also tied back to the trauma. Obviously, none of these things are true, and the last one's actually really ableist.
Mm-hmm.
So those are themes that you see a lot, and we see in this film as well. He had a traumatic event as a child, which apparently caused him to develop a female personality, a purpose to nothing. And there's like this stupid psychobabble explanation they gave in the movie, which was that his ego as a child was too fragile, which causes his masculinity to regress, but he couldn't kill his alter ego, so he projected his anger onto other girls. Now, there are men who hate women and are violent against them. Trans women are A, not men, and B, generally aren't violent towards other women. I mean, I'm sure there's an exception here or there, but I don't know of any.
Mm-hmm. Like all people, there are people that yes, yes, there can be abusive trans folk as well. At the exact same time, being trans does not make you an abuser. Being trans does not mean that you will be an abuser.
Exactly. I actually searched crime report, try to find an example of a violent trans
Yeah.
person. I only ever found one out of the many thousands of examples of cis men, which should tell you something. So it also feeds into like the stereotype that men will wear dresses to prey on cis women.
Mhm.
Also bullshit. Men do not need to put on a dress to attack women.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I wanted to discuss and just touch on is dissociative identities, or multiple personalities.
Mm-hmm.
So just randomly today, I ended up talking to two people who actually have multiple personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was talking to them about their experiences, and I did a little bit of research. This is probably a shock to no one, but most people with multiple personalities are nonviolent. Um, in some cases, it is caused by trauma or PTSD, but after talking to these two people, I discovered that there's actually a lot of people with multiple personalities who don't have a history of trauma or PTSD or feel it impairs their everyday life. So, in addition to claiming that trauma causes people to be trans, it's also claiming that trauma causes people to have multiple personalities and become violent, which is just not true.
Mm-hmm.
And I should point out, people with multiple personalities, a lot of them self-identify as multiples or plurals. Um, they sometimes do use they them pronouns, because some of the personalities do have different gender identities, but
Mm-hmm.
that's like a different thing. So I don't want to say that like just because you have multiple personalities, like you aren't trans. You can be,
Yeah.
but that's neither here nor there. And now
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Sammie talk on that.
Yeah.
After that huge rant.
Yeah, and and something that came up for me in this movie, and it's if anyone makes it towards the end, like
Yeah,
the
then.
the reveal of the killer before the bullshit explanation uh that they go into, it's just I was really struck. It's hard for me as a trans person and as a trans woman specifically to like see that like when the killer is revealed that his last words are repeatedly, "I'm not female. I'm not female. I'm not," and I'm just like, "Oh god."
So this movie desperately wants to be Psycho.
Yeah.
And like, even to the point where the very last thing that's said, and I didn't write down the psychobabble. It was mentioned about the ego not being able to kill. That's the very last line of the film,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's very quick. Like with Psycho, here's the thing: there was a lot of bullshit psychobabble at the end of Psycho, but at the same time, it was done in a sense at the time. I'm gonna get so much hate mail for saying this, but like it was done with a little bit of care. They were trying to care, and you could tell they did it wrong and they did it poorly, but you could tell that they were trying to care at the end of Psycho. This is literally just like, for lack of better term, like fucking crazy, right? Oh well, and eh,
Yeah, your friend who's
ah,
dead.
Psycho had effort. This was minimal effort.
yeah, like. I want to
Yeah.
continue loving Psycho, but it just I really wonder if this would have existed without Psycho. And I mean, to an extent, I'm sure people would have done the whole like Ed Gein, blah blah blah. Like,
Mhm.
and that's a whole thing. We talk a little bit about Ed Gein and why people just assumed that he was gay because et cetera, et cetera. But like, a lot of that is not true. Ed Gein was just not into people except to eat them. But like, I. So I'm just gonna keep making noises. That's what I'm gonna do. Uh,
But,
yeah.
but like, so again, it's just with this, killer being a man in a dress. It's with those last words. It's hard for me to not see it as immediately as this, trans women aren't women. As like that's the words that are being said. Just as someone
Yeah.
who's had that like said to me on occasion,
Mhm.
that like just like that like death scene is one of like the more like cringeworthy and like upsetting parts of this movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I I will say, and I wrote this note. My very last note in my document is, this is the movie J.K. Rowling assumes is a documentary.
Oh my. Yeah.
Oh
Like, I don't necessarily want to give her
yeah,
too much brain space or vocal space, but at the same time, it's just like, this is the type of thing. This is why when
yeah,
people look at
exactly.
trans people,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah,
like, yeah.
Or they also the thought that like, well, trans people like secretly hate themselves. Because I
Mhm.
hear this going around, like, how do you expect us to accept you if you can't accept yourself? I'm like, I accept myself. You
yeah,
are the one who doesn't accept me.
yeah,
Mhm. It's
Literally,
like, I mean,
I have 99 problems, and all of them are because of you.
yeah, like you spend your whole life with people saying shit to you, hating on you, and essentially like using who you are, like female, you're female, you're female. Like, if people had kept saying that to me, like, hey, great. At the same time, it's definitely done in a derogatory way. And because it's done in a derogatory way, there's no
mm-hmm.
ability to take that as a positive. So immediately, if I'm figuring out, yeah, I am female, fuck, that was always said in a derogatory way, that was always said in a very negative way, like, yeah, of course I hate myself because you hate me. Like, everyone
Yeah,
hates me. Why wouldn't I feel anything else?
yeah,
And yeah, and as a non-binary person, I also felt it was insulting to me because that's something I heard growing up. Like, non-binary, you can't be both. You're a female. That's what you were assigned at birth. That's what
mm-hmm.
you are. And I've when I was like a kid and like questioning, and I'd have people yell at me that I was a girl, and so that was kind of triggering. And he's like, "I'm
Mhm,
not a female. I'm not," and I'm like, "I'm right there with you, buddy." But
mhm,
yeah, that was triggering too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
insulting to like everyone, really.
it's also we haven't talked about this, but the fact that like up until then you only ever see like the neck down
Mhm.
of this killer, but you do hear the voice and and it's just like, oh, just like every fucking interaction is like, oh, hi. I'm just like, fuck you. Like, it's like,
I mean, in all fairness, this is my podcast voice. My walking around voice is very much, "Hi, how are you? Oh, hey. Would you like some spaghetti?" That's my voice. This is very hard to keep this voice for the podcast.
I completely understand.
To be totally fair, if you did use that
See,
voice,
that actually hurt my throat.
If someone comes up to and talks like that, there's a good chance they might be a serial killer.
And hey, like, respect if you're trying to find your voice, especially if it has been if it has changed with puberty. Respect. At the same time, if you're going around going like, "Ah!" Yeah, no, that you're
Yeah,
there are people that can help you. There are professional linguists, not linguists, professional voice folks, vocal coaches. That's the word I'm trying to find. Linguist, but a coach. There are professional people. There are people that can help you. I highly recommend don't highly fluctuate your voice, like a serial killer in a movie in a giallo flick. We walked into a thing. Okay.
yeah,
But legit respect.
that was
Respect if
my
you're trying to
bad.
find your
Sorry,
voice.
guys.
No. But they are definitely doing this in this movie as a means to make it to
Ridiculous.
emphasize exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and very much to your point, I wrote in my notes there was one that I was just like, it's very clear what they're doing because I wrote the word fog, but it's actually like whatever that you call that, like condensation from a shower on your mirror. Condensation is obscuring the killer's face in this, and it's just like they always dress these killers in the most frumpy, least interesting clothes. Partially because it covers everything, but it's just like, what is that dress? Like, not to
Right?
look, not to shame the fashion choice, but like, what is that dress?
Oh, and it's also another way that the character is immediately differentiated from the voice of the people who made this movie differentiate the killer from the real women.
Especially the killer dresses like an 80-year-old British woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sounds.
Yeah. You clearly, like, whoever made this film has never met a trans person in their entire life.
Right?
Nope.
I don't know, like, where you base this off of. But oh my god.
I know
Oh my
Margaret
god.
Thatcher didn't sound like that, but it just in my head, I just want this killer to be like, "I'm Margaret Thatcher. Ooh, stabby." Like, okay. This is the weirdest episode I think I've recorded.
I know, it
Honestly.
really is. Alright, let's try to get. Alright, so something I noticed while watching the movie, and I am probably giving this film way more credit than it deserves, but I noticed there was like some weird things regarding gender. For example, the director, Sandra, at one point shows up basically wearing a full suit. I don't know if that was an 80s choice or there was a commentary on gendered fashion. It's probably an 80s thing, and I'm reading too much into it. The other thing was Julia, the girlfriend, who I hate.
We're definitely going to talk about Julia.
Yes, we will talk. Oh, we will have words about Julia. But as I say, so the other thing was Julia. She lies about her play being like suspended because it's obscene, and her boyfriend's like, "Oh, why?" And she's like, female homosexuality." I'm imagining Frankie like saying that. I'm sorry, like, but yeah, female homosexuality. So I was like, that's a weird thing, like, to have in the movie. Or is he making commentary on gender, or is he just trying to make us think that he's being smart and making a commentary on gender and gender roles, and he's just not that smart?
So Julia, the way I am introduced to Julia, because I have no idea if she shows up before this. Again, everything is just like a sieve with me in this movie. The way I'm introduced to Julia is she pops up from out of nowhere at this place that he's staying to record the music, and just goes, "Surprise, Bruno! It's me, Julia, your girl." It's just like,
Thanks, Captain Exposition.
like, but he also genuinely seems like he doesn't recognize her, and like,
Right? Oh
hey,
yes.
oh, they cannot have a good relationship. like,
Oh,
my
yeah,
God.
that's explored a little bit.
I
yeah.
literally, like, the first time I saw that movie, I thought that, like, the trans killer was dressed up as Julia, and he was just so stupid that he just assumed this was his girlfriend and, like, didn't notice. And
They'd have done that.
I believe
They'd have made that movie.
oh my God.
Surprise, Bruno, it's me, your girlfriend, Julia. It's your best girl. God, I
Oh,
hate it.
your voice sounds different.
No, it
They just
doesn't. I
don't
have a
get
cold.
I'm a female. I'm just like,
and he just be like, oh, okay.
So there's that. There's also okay. There is a moment I love in this movie, not because it's good. The moment that, like, so he can visually see, like, I forget, he was fucking off doing something else, and he comes back, and his lyrics, his notations have been ripped and thrown in the fire. The reel of what he was recording has been destroyed and ripped apart, and like everything is bad. This has been what he has been there working on, and it is just dismantled. And dude just moves like the Terminator to check it out. Like, I'm like literally like deliberate, like the entire time I'm just going like do, 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 as he's going to check his work. like, like he can see it. It's not like this is like I'm Terminator
Yeah.
walking because this is how I walk. I am Bruno. But like he's just like have some agency, buddy. There's enough agency to go around in this movie. Go for it. Take some. Like,
How will they draw out the runtime if he doesn't spend half the movie just wandering around staring at things? So bitter.
Listen, it is. I have one more positive. Again, not a big one. Inconsequential.
I get milking these positives. Let's do it. Yeah.
And it's a thing that, and like, I have problems with a lot of Giallo. I mean, this one specifically and especially obviously. But one thing about them is like there are some interesting death choices in these movies, and and I believe it's the director of the movie gets choked with the movie film.
Yes.
Yeah, that was,
And I'm like, I mean, okay,
it was a nice.
I
Yeah.
was just like, okay, that's an interesting choice. Like, no, I could see, like, yeah, they didn't like that movie being made. Like, yeah, hey, you didn't like that movie being made. Like,
Justice Lee did not like this movie and wanted to do that to this director.
yeah,
I don't wish harm on the guy at the same time. Jesus Christ, like, hey, maybe this is a little meta for me, friend. Thank you for this.
Philip,
This gift.
give him a little choke.
Just give him a little oh.
Interestingly enough, the director of this movie also went on to direct Demons, which is a slightly more famous horror movie, which I
Did you say
actually like.
yeah. It's and
Demons, yes.
that's the thing. Like, I really hate that this movie was Bava, because there are some Bava movies that I fucking love, and I'm just like, God damn it, dude.
So what is a Bava movie people should watch if they hated this movie?
I really like Demons. Demons also has some stuff that is problematic and doesn't hold up, but I I really like Demons. It is a movie that I thoroughly enjoy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'll try Demons. Which, by the way, I thought you said females, and I was just like, well, all right.
You're like, oh my
Yeah,
god.
clearly, I get why he did this movie. Uh,
I actually like Giallo. One of my favorite horror movies is actually Suspiria.
okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't like this. This is. So I get the feeling that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Out of curiosity, because I want to talk about no worries, because I want to talk about anything other than this movie. What did you think about the remake of Suspiria? I enjoyed.
It was fine. I like the original better. It was
Yeah.
fine. It was, it wasn't bad.
And it's listen. I know I just said positives about Bava movies, but he also was involved in Blood and Black Lace, which I believe is another transphobic Giallo.
Oh,
Oh my
actually,
god.
I think so. Wait, I might actually have notes on that. Oh my god. I
Bava, quit going to this well, buddy. Like,
yeah.
there are other wells. There's so many other wells you can go to. Well, while we wait for for those notes, I will also throw out another thing that I laughed about, but not because it was good. This whole like prank call that happened. Like, there's this moment where like I can't remember because I can't remember any of the names of the characters. A random lady calls up and is
Yeah.
like, "I'm gonna murder you. I'm gonna eat your guts." And it's just like, what? And then like, she's like, "Hi, I was just kidding." Like, what is this? Like, your hair
Did
is
I
too bad.
get you?
Yeah. Did I get you? Like, your hair is
No, and I believe that is also his girlfriend.
Wow.
Yes.
It was his girlfriend. No. It was the director. It was the director.
Oh yeah. Okay. Which like, and I feel like, oh no, the fact that it's the director and she is suspecting that this is this person, like the whole fucking movie. It's like, oh, so she's just like twisting the knife, is what she. With that.
By the way, I love how he's like, I think 2 people were murdered in my house, and everyone's like, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And his girlfriend's like, are you cheating on me? And he's like, no, baby, I think somebody was murdered. And she's like, oh my god, you're an asshole.
Like, please stop talking about these other women who've been murdered.
And then she got murdered, and I was like, oh, thank God.
Oh, so
I'm
there were
sorry,
other women here? Other women who got murdered? I don't know what that accent was. It definitely wasn't Italian.
No, Linda didn't say that line.
Okay, like everybody in this movie is just awful and needed to die.
I'm done. Okay.
I'm sorry.
We gotta start wrapping this up.
If I have to have seen this movie, other people have to have too.
Oh my god. And I just checked, okay. I don't think I have any notes on Blood and Black Lace. I do have notes on another Giallo film. Four Flies on Grey Velvet also manages to
Fuck
be
that movie.
There's also a random
like
women with a private eye who's actually kind of awesome, but he gets murdered, so,
It happens.
Yay. Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything else about this movie? Which did I even say what the name of the movie was? I don't even think I did. I think we've just
Blade in the
Dark.
Blade in the Dark. It's got an Italian name too. It doesn't matter. It's just life is pain. Everything is meaningless. Set fire to all your diaries and films. So what? God, I'm a nihilistic. This movie has made me a nihilist. So
finally broke you.
Let's ask the questions we always ask. I'm going to ask the obvious one first. I mean, they're both pretty obvious, but let's ask the obvious one first. Was it transphobic? You can answer that. Hold on. I'm with you. I love the enthusiasm. You can answer this as a simple yes or no. You can answer this as a 1 to 10 scale. You could answer it as a noise. However you feel you need to express yourself with that question. Was it transphobic? Morgan, you can go first.
Can I say yes now? Okay, yes,
Yeah.
10. Just I just wanted to slash up the movie with the scissors, like kill her then, and just maybe not kill, but like at least choke a little bit. Everybody involved with it.
How about you, Sammy? What do you think? Transphobic?
So I
Just
will
throw
do
the
this
curveball. You gotta throw
differently
the
than I
curveball, buddy.
did the last episode of this that I was on. I simply. Oh no! I didn't give a simple yes. It was 20 minutes ago, and I forgot what I said. So no, but I will give you on a scale of 1 to 10. This movie is a 14.
Damn.
10 being most transphobic, right? I'm assuming. If we're doing 1 to 10,
Yeah.
10 is like the most transphobic. Yeah, it's a 14. Yeah.
Sadly, not the most transphobic horror movie I've seen.
Oh, I know.
That's the sad part.
No, and
Yeah.
don't worry, the scale goes for.
Yeah, this is a mild example.
Oh, it really is.
Yeah,
It really is. I know.
it's so bad.
Yeah, I think that was my answer. Yeah, it was transphobic. It's transphobic as hell. Yo, I don't necessarily. I like leaving room. I like having some sort of like, well, maybe they were intending to do this,
No.
and intention does not equal, but fact, it's it's okay.
Let's watch an incident in Ghostland next.
I'm giving you a break. I'm giving you a break. I'm gonna watch something good. I'm gonna watch Steven Universe. I'm gonna watch Shrill. I'm gonna talk about next time. We talk about Shrill. I'm excited about that. Was it enjoyable? That's the
No.
other question.
I think I spaced that like 8 times.
That is a negative 14.
Oh, wait, what is even happening in this stupid fucking movie? I don't even care.
Yeah.
Internet.
The one thing I will give it as far as being enjoyable, I am having quite a boo-ha-ha here with you, my friends. Sorry, Sammy.
Second time in a row.
Listen to Sammy's boo-ha-ha podcast. But yeah, it's I mean, here's the thing. I really hope people listening enjoy this episode of an obscure Italian Giallo movie that we barely even talk about because I just want to throw my hands up in the air and
Don't watch
burn
it.
all the everything. I hope people are having as much fun listening as I am talking about it with you two. But at the same time, there are so many good episodes of the podcast where we go deep into stuff and have a real conversation. Sammy was a part of one. We talked about Alien. It was great. I'm not drunk. I'm just angry. So I've not touched the stuff in days. So okay. Rough indeed. So, it was a rough movie.
My dog has not enjoyed. Stop talking about this whole fucking time. I keep telling, just like, no, stop talking about that movie.
Oh, I agree with you, dog. I agree.
For this movie. So, tell people how to find you on the internet if you want them to find you.
I don't know if I want them to find me after this. Okay, you can find me on my blog, diversityhorrorblogspot.com, or you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at diversityhorror. All one word. And, there I actually talk about good trans representation and horror. So you can cleanse your palate if you've watched something like this.
Sammy, how about you? How can people find you? Do you want them to?
Yeah, you know what? Find me! Bring this movie up so I can yell about it! No, don't, because chances are you could be a fan. No. Yeah, you can, I am on most Yeah, I almost said most Sammie media. I am on most social media. I'm on as at Sammie James. I run a. It's on hiatus, but a weekly trans variety show that will be a festival under the same name. I have 3 things under the name We Are Trans. Find them all on the Facebook We Are Trans and the Twitter We Are Trans 1. Because apparently there was already a We Are Trans Twitter. It's like, I should check
can't
that
imagine.
out.
Yeah, I wonder what their Twitter is like. Okay, I'll stop derailing.
I have a podcast, All of My Friends Are Animals, where I talk to people about animals, and a horror movie podcast called Boo Ha Ha, where I talk to mostly comedians, but I'm open to other people about horror movies. We talk about a different horror movie or horror related thing, subgenre, monster, every week. Yeah, those are the things I do. That has a Facebook but not a Twitter.
Yeah, having a podcast that also has social media is very weird, to be perfectly frank. As someone who's had to create multiples for mine, yes, you can find me on the internet on Twitter at Lucretia Dearfour, LucretiaDear, and then the number 4. You can also find Is It Transphobic on Twitter at Is It Transphobic. And one day I'll stop being amazed that I actually created an Instagram for the podcast at Is It Transphobic. You can also go to isittransphobic.com, visit our store. We have mugs and hoodies and t-shirts and tanks, and I'm lots of stuff. Patreon.com/isittransphobic for $1 a month only. You will get our episodes a week early from the public, and then also I'm interviewing a number of really interesting creators, some trans, some non-binary, some cis, who are just doing really interesting work in gender, and you will get those a month before the public gets those. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons to join. If you want to tell us that you hated A Blade in the Dark, hit us up and tell us you hated it as well. If you just want to skip this one, skip the movie. I hope you like what we said. Thank you all so much for listening. Sammie, Morgan, thank you both so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is It Transphobic was produced, edited, and coordinated by Ashley Lauren Rogers.
The original music you heard was all created by Vivian Aladrin, who you can find on Bandcamp at vivianaladrin.bandcamp.com.